welcome to the Dope Sheets, Just One Guy's Opinion. I'm Wayne Demers, and I'll be giving you my opinion today on The Batman. This is a non-spoiler review, so my discussion right now is going to be just in very general terms on how much I enjoyed this movie. And let me tell you, I really enjoyed this movie. Nearly 3 hours worth of enjoyment in this film. So the movie, I think, ran about just over 2 hours and 50 minutes. Um, it is a dark movie. It's a dark movie. And if you notice in the trailer, all the scenes seem to be very dark. There are very, very few scenes that are shot during the day. So I'm going to tell you, it kind of makes sense for me. He's the Dark Knight. When is Batman out and about? He's not out and about usually during the day. He's out and about at night. That's when he fights crime. And he fights crime as Bruce Wayne, I suppose, during the day. But anyway, it's a dark film. So you can expect to be in a very dark theater most of the time. Make sure you get your concessions early because you'll probably run out 2/3 of the way through the movie because, again, it is 2 hours and 50 minutes. But an enjoyable 2 hour, 50 minutes, and I don't think I really felt it until we reached the final act or the conclusion of the movie. Then you start to feel like, oh, okay, we're going to keep going here. But gotta say, still pretty good. As a matter of fact, I'd say it's my second favorite Batman film. Still enjoy Heath Ledger's Joker, that Batman movie. That was still my favorite. But this is a very, very good second. So things to talk about again. Dark, figuratively and literally, it is a dark movie. This story is so well written. So Matt Reeves is the director and one of two of the writers of the film. Really, really like this story. We're getting a Batman that is more of the detective. Okay, so there's a lot of story in this movie. A lot of story. And the action sequences are rewarding and I feel are very true to who Batman is. This is not an origin story, which I'm so happy because I really don't care to keep every time we start a new trilogy that we have to go through an origin story. However, he is still new to being Batman. I think he's only in his second year of being Batman. So he's still feeling out himself, who he is, and what he's trying to accomplish. But the story is so engaging. You know, we get the Riddler. If you've seen the trailers or you've read the movie description, you know he's our main villain who we're trying to track down. We also get the Penguin, Catwoman as well in this movie. So, and then there's other villains that they're not the super villains like, let's say, the Joker and the Riddler, the Penguin, all that. They're not. They're just like the mobsters type people in Bruce Wayne in Batman's world. So anyway, those characters are there. And for those that are true Batman fans, whether it's Batman the animated series, Batman movies, Batman comic books, I think it touches on every single one of those platforms, one of those medias. So you'll find something to enjoy. Maybe you won't get the little Easter egg that they throw in there because you haven't watched the original TV series or you haven't read a comic book or whatever. Don't worry. If you don't see it, no big deal. It's not going to take anything away from your enjoyment of the movie. Again, I did say it's 2 hours, 50 minutes. It is a little long, but I enjoyed it. I hate to say that they could have cut anything out of it. If anything, I would say if you're going to cut anything out of it, maybe it would have been the ending a little bit. But I don't know. I just liked how the movie built. It intensified with the drama, and it was just an easy pace as you went into until you hit the end. Batman, this Batman has probably the most rewarding introduction of the Batmobile since Michael Keaton's Batman. I mean, I really dug how they introduced the Batmobile in this movie. However, he rides, I don't want to call it the Bat Cycle because I'm going to tell you, we see the Bat Cycle, but he rides a motorcycle through most of the movie. And I wouldn't call that the Bat Cycle. In fact, it wasn't until I really stopped and thought about it. I'm like, that bike that he rode in one part of the movie was different than the bike that he rides around as Bruce Wayne or Batman in disguise, if that's a thing. Anywho, but he rides a motorcycle quite a bit. So, but when he's riding that Batmobile, man, that's a pretty intriguing interpretation of the Batmobile. Really enjoyed it, and you'll see what you've already seen in the preview, the trailer rather. That whole scene is in the movie. Matter of fact, everything that was in the trailer, I believe, is in the movie. So there's nothing there that you're gonna be like, hey, how come we didn't see that scene? I think it's all there. So let's talk about who's in the film and their performances. All right, Zoey Kravitz. She holds her own very well on screen. I liked her as Catwoman. This, I think, is a different interpretation of Catwoman, but I like it. I liked her. I think when she's on screen with Robert Pattinson, they have good chemistry together. Robert Pattinson, I don't know where I am with him as Bruce Wayne. Honestly, I'm not really sure if I feel like he's got that part down. But he's got Batman down. He's got all the poses. He knows how to use the screen time that he's got as Batman. He's got that part down. Absolutely. Love him as Batman. Paul Dano. Paul Dano is our Riddler. He was in There Will Be Blood. That's the movie I can remember him from. What an excellent actor. Now, what we see in the trailer is just a snippet of the screen time that he gets in the movie. And he doesn't get too much screen time in the movie. But when he's on screen, wow. I mean, he is impactful. And this is a different take on the Riddler than we've seen in the past. And I very much enjoy it because the Riddler, if you think back to the television show, the Riddler was always hoo, and I got to riddle this and riddle that. And then we got the same type of Riddler with Jim Carrey in his movie, in his Batman movie. And so that I felt like those were pretty consistent, but a bit on the corny side. But now we've moved into a realm when, where we treat this as if it's in the real world, as if this really could happen. And boy, did he nail this. Paul Dano, you did an awesome job. Let's see. Colin Farrell is going to have the most underappreciated performance of the year. Now, Colin Farrell, I think he's kind of polarizing as a person. As an actor, I've seen many things that I like him in. Few things maybe I didn't care for. I feel like he kind of gets stereotyped a little bit with some of his casting. And in this movie, whoever did the makeup, they have got to get some recognition because you cannot see Colin Farrell. If anything at all, if you didn't know it was Colin Farrell, then you would never guess that was him. You'd probably want to know who's that actor. But I know it's Colin Farrell, and only maybe once through the whole movie I could see it in his eyes. Otherwise, his acting, his voice, his interpretation of the Penguin is amazing. And the thing that I'm really happy about is that HBO Max is going to be picking up a Penguin series that is rumored to, if it had been a movie, would be R-rated. And I think then we're really going to see a lot more of the Penguin in his world, in the Batman world, but we're going to get a lot more depth, which I really hope that means that we're going to see him in another movie. Robert Pattinson has already come out and said that he would, if they want him for a second film, he would do it. And let me tell you, this movie ends and it's just screaming for two, three more movies. I mean, screaming for it. It was I when I left the theater, there were other people. I didn't hear anybody say they didn't like it. I didn't see a lot of cheering and oh my gods, and I didn't get any of that. But I got a lot of people that really liked it, and I think we're now getting into multiple interpretations of Batman that people are starting to lean toward. Oh, I definitely have a favorite here, or I definitely have a favorite there. For me, I just want to enjoy what I'm going to see, but I really feel like Robert Pattinson nailed Batman. Now, one of the things that I know was a little bit controversial over the last couple of years, because I think this movie's been in the can now for, at least a year, because I think it was supposed to come out last summer, is there was some contention between him and the producers. I think they wanted him to have bulked up, worked out, be ripped, stereotypical hero physique, and he didn't do it. And you know what? I think he made the right call on this, because I think when you see him as Batman, he's very imposing, but when you see him as Bruce Wayne, he is not. And I think that's key to being Bruce Wayne in this series. Anyway, I'm curious to see where he takes it, though, if he does do a sequel, which I can't see that they won't. But we'll see. Andy Serkis is in this one as Alfred. He's very good in it. Not a lot of screen time, but very good. And Jeffrey Wright is James Gordon. Jeffrey Wright, I know him from Westworld. He's been in a few other things, but he's James Gordon, and I loved him in this. But James Gordon in this film, he is not the commissioner. He's, I believe, a detective. So, I really enjoyed him, and you'll see that he and Batman already have a relationship. We'll leave it at that. So they get along, they partner up. But Colin Farrell, man, people are just not going to give him his due for this, because I honestly think this is one of his best acting jobs. Now, how hard is it to play a villain? I don't know. I'm not an actor, but I can tell you that I think if you're going to come right in to being a villain and you're going to have a lot of prosthetics on you, or a lot, you look in the mirror and maybe that character just kind of comes out right. I've seen that in many interviews with other actors, but I don't think him playing Penguin or Oswald Cobblepot, I don't think that's going to be a stretch for him. I feel he's played enough villains. But boy, he really fine tunes everything with this. His voice, his expressions. That's another thing. His facial expressions really come through. It's so hard to believe he's got makeup on. That he's got rubber prosthetics on, and I just can't believe the makeup job that they did on him. And people are just not going to give him his due for this. Maybe they will for the HBO Max series, but I thought he was outstanding with the screen time that he had. On the whole, man, so much fun, and so excited that I got to see it a couple days early before the release. Now, I do have a ticket to go and catch it again on Thursday at 3:00, so I'll be going to see it yet again. And I really can't wait, because I really want to pay attention to a couple of things in the background. I think there may be, it's not a perfect movie, so there's a plot hole in there, I think, but I'll know more once I see it yet again. overall, I saw it in IMAX. Okay, 2 hour 50-minute running time, PG-13. Uh, the violence, I think, is pretty much typical for a Batman film. Um, what else could I say? Oh, after credit scene. There is an after credit scene that's probably 3 seconds. So I'm not going to ruin it for you. If you want to stay and watch it, stay and watch it. Personally, um, I'm not staying and watch it the second time, and I would encourage you not to stay and watch it. You can simply watch. I'm sure somebody's going to talk about that in a review, but it. Don't stay for that. You're going to stay for 10 minutes of credits, uh, probably minimum of 10 minutes of credits, just to catch that 3 second clip. It's not worth it. Don't stick around for it. Anyway, make sure you get your money together so that way you can afford some popcorn and soda, that ticket price, and go see it in IMAX. Oh, I didn't even talk about the music. We have a new theme for Batman, and I'm digging it. I'm digging the theme. I really enjoyed the music, music selection in it. I enjoyed the score. That everything there really it was in your face when it needed to be, and it was subtle in the background when it needed to be. So anyway, you go catch this movie. That's it. Because I'm gonna get into spoilers, and I don't want to spoil this for anybody. So if you have the time this weekend, go and check it out before anybody ruins it for you. Very enjoyable, and I'll come back this weekend and do a spoiler review where I can talk a little bit more about the details. Until then, I'm Wayne. This is the Dope Sheets, just one guy's opinion, and you just heard mine.